Okay, welcome everybody to Race Strategy. Most people here were in the last session. Who is new just to this session? Okay, my name's Dan Hebert. I coach dragon boating, coach paddle, steer, drum, many different teams, most famously for coaching Eye of the Dragon. Half the team is blind, visually impaired. We beat a lot of other teams, hence we're famous. And I've coached a lot of other teams as well. Been to the World Championships once, it was awesome. And everything from newbies to national team. But I really like coaching and a strong recreational teams, lower end comp. Regardless, you do need a race strategy. And we're here to talk about race strategy. What do they do in the Olympics? How can we use that in your races in Dragon Boat? Right? So I'm going to show you this video clip from Chandra Crawford. Some of you have seen a bit of it already. Chandra Crawford is a cross-country skier. She won gold medal in the sprint, and the sprint is about 2.5 minutes. So again, it's why I use this particular type of a race, because it's similar length to a dragon boat race, 2.5 minutes. So what strategy do gold medal, Olympic champion, cross-country skiers use in a 2.5 minute race? Okay, and how can we learn from that and apply it to dragon boat?
As the air is filled with silence and I wait for the gun to go off, I'm poised with every fiber of my being and focused on the sound. When I hear it, I jump out of the gate as fast as I can. I like to do 5 strides of offset to get up to speed. And once I get up to speed, my cue words are power and glide. Often I'll think to myself, relax. And here you might think we're going all out, but we're definitely not. I'm controlling the pace here because I want to have some extra jam for that finishing stretch where it really counts, which is still a few minutes away.
One of the fittest people in the world, cross-country gold medalist. Okay? Relax, pace yourself, wait, because you need extra jam on the finish. Is she going hard, 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 all out, go crazy, more? No, she's not. Okay? Starts hard, relax, power and glide, wait for the finish. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. I learned this originally from somebody named Tony Hall, and Tony Hall coached several of he's East Coast, a guy from Halifax, I believe, and flatwater canoe, kayak there is very strong, and he coached Giles, Stephen Giles, his name, Canadian Olympic canoeist, and he coached comedy, he coached the women's kayak team, and Tony's been around forever. And he was here for a conference years ago, and that's one of the first time I heard, he said, you know what, start hard, go at 80 or 90%. He said, you don't lose that much in the middle of the race, and you're way better at the finish. Chances are you're going to be faster overall. Try it. I'm like, wow, that was a revelation. I had never heard that. I'd ever heard just go, power, hard, go. 2.5 minutes is a long, long time. Okay? It does depend on your body type, and you can try it. Probably most people that are in dragon boating are going to be faster if they pace and they take off a little bit, or even take off a lot in the middle of the race and wait for the finish. Okay? So I'll show you now another Olympic race. This happens to be kayak, and you'll see different people with different strategies. Okay? Adam Van Koeverden is in this race, and he knows he knows his body very well. He races a lot, and his strategy is to go as hard as he can and try to hang on. Okay? Okay? And that's how he's going to be the fastest. That's his 500-meter race plan, that's his 1,000-meter race plan, and that's his strategy, and that works for him. Other people pace more, and that's what works for them. Okay? So we'll show you the Olympic.
The race plan for Vancouver in lane 7, get out fast and maintain the lead as long as possible.
He likes to race from the front, and you'll want to get out right from the start here. He's had a good one.
Again, Bagley's in lane 3, Province in 4, New Zealand's Hui in 5, Larson in 6, and the man in the lead in lane 7, Vancouver gets the start he wanted.
That's cool, hey? So that's Adam Van Koeverden, that's his strategy. He wants to go out as fast as possible and get the lead and try to hang on. Other people pace. There's a lot of very good There's a lot of world champions. This is the Olympic final. Everybody in this race is good. Okay, Eric Larson from Norway is the favorite. Okay, Nathan Bagley is ex-world champion. Okay, Ben Fooey from New Zealand. Watch Ben Fooey because he paces better than anybody. I should say he paces more than anybody. Okay, his strategy is to come from behind.
To the big five, and right now, the 22-year-old from Oakville is handling the race plan as he wants.
Exactly the way he wants, as you say, Chris. The key now is to relax somewhat. Someone in front, he has to stay in front with the least amount of energy, and that takes good technique. These water conditions today make it very possible to paddle at your best.
So even here, what are they saying? Relax, right? Technique and relax. Gold medal final, relax? You bet. That's how you win.
So a perfect start for Vancouverton, but this race will be decided in the final 250 meters when there will be pain, and these contenders will have to find something that they may never have delivered before.
Well, there's a long lane ahead of us yet. We see a guy like Fooey from New Zealand in lane 5, currently sitting in 5th position. Right shot overhead. He's a late finisher.
Okay, so this is Ben Fooey, lane 5. I already said he's a late finisher. That's his strategy. That's how he races best. And this is about a 3.5-minute race.
So all these guys have different approaches to the race. Adams is to be out early. Fooey's is to wait and be patient.
They said that Vancouverton would have to be ahead of Larson at 500 meters to have a good chance. You mentioned Fooey, who was 7th at the World Championship last year with 250 meters to go, and he ended up winning the race by a second. That's how good his kick is. And now Larson kicking it up, and he establishes himself in second, and he's going after Vancouverton.
Yes, we can only hope that Adam hasn't gone on too hard, but that is the way he likes to approach these races. Larson, who we don't think we've seen his A game yet, he's sitting very patient, and of course the Norwegians are great endurance paddlers, so he's got a lot left as well, and he's moving strong right now.
3/10 of a second, the lead for Vancouverton halfway through this race, with Larson poised to attack. But the nice thing is, they've left the rest of the field behind.
The thing is, Larson being the favorite, Vancouverton can't get too caught up with Larson if he goes by, and he still has to race his race and stay focused on a podium finish.
Stay composed was the message from Coach Scott Aldershaw. If indeed Larson went by, you've still got a race for second. And right now Larson easing into his first lead of the race.
This is the point in the race where you have to stay relaxed. You got to keep the lower body going, keep the hips, the big muscles. You don't want to tighten up your arms.
Again, stay relaxed, big muscles. Okay? You can hear that over and over, but relaxed and technique.
What Adam has to do is stay focused on his race and not get caught up in Eric Larson's race.
250 meters to the goal, and Vancouverton a half second back of Larson now, but still over 2 seconds ahead of Fooey, who's got that great finishing kick, and Bagley over 3 seconds behind. So Vancouverton in terrific position, but he's going to try and challenge Larson here down the stretch.
And here comes Fooey. He's making a move. This is when he always makes a move. Does he have enough length to catch Adam Vancouverton?
Vancouverton still with a home-length lead over Fooey, who's a hard charger. What does 28-year-old Larson have left as he tries to repeat what Newtola and the Norwegian did 4 years ago? Here comes Fooey of New Zealand, and Bagley starting to close now. So it's Fooey, a hard charging Kiwi, 25 years of age, and he is really in Vancouverton. As they come to the line, it will be Larson, the champion, is going to be second for Fooey. The lead, the run, Vancouverton there. The race time 3:25.95, and Adam Vancouverton, we believe, is an Olympic bronze medalist.
Wow, outstanding race.
The race plan for Vancouver.
Wow, outstanding race. Could not agree more. Super fun to watch. I love that race. Okay, comments? What did you see? What surprised you? What did you learn? Sorry? Keep something in the tank. Very different strategies. They have very different strategies. And Adam Vancouverton, he knows himself. The way that Adam is going to win an Olympic medal is he's going to go out hard. He's going to try to hang on. Adam is probably a bit more of the exception when it comes to body types, but that's the way his body works. That's the way he's trained, and that's the way he races. Okay? Other people who try to race like Adam Vancouverton, they generally will not hang on to that bronze medal position. Yeah, and he was almost fourth, right? Nathan Bagley had a great finish as well, you know, another 20 meters, and he's not on the podium. But that was a great race.
One of the commentators was saying racing your own race, and when Larson was getting there, Vancouver really had to focus on his own game plan because he was a bit distracted and maybe trying to go after him, which might have screwed what he normally does.
Yeah, yeah. Race your own race in your lane. You come up with your race strategy, you execute your race strategy, and there will be teams ahead of you, right? You're racing Falls Creek, of course they're ahead of you, right? You kind of know your competition. That's who you're racing. You want to get from the start to the finish as fast as possible. I tell people all the time, it's not a race to the 250 mark. It's not a race to the 200 meter mark. It's not a race to halfway. It's a race to the finish. So what we do is we practice our race strategy over and over and over, and we start hard, and we pace, and we finish hard. So one of the reasons that all this stuff works is you have different energy systems. You know, you've heard the term anaerobic, you've heard the term aerobic. Okay? The first, here's a graph. You've actually got what's called you've got three energy systems, to be honest. Your body has three different sources of energy. Two are anaerobic alactic and anaerobic lactic, whether it has any oxygen in it or not. The other terms are phosphagen, glycolytic, and oxidative. But basically, you've got your sprint. This is the first, say, 5 to 10 seconds of energy in your system. And this is the next, say, 20 to 30 seconds. And then you're into aerobic. Hockey players generally do 30 to 40 second shifts. Even though their aerobic systems are great, their anaerobic power is greater. Okay? So they use their anaerobic power. When you're out of anaerobic power, you're exhausted and you get off the ice and the next guy comes on. Okay? So your anaerobic power, you've got that short sprint, 5 to 10 seconds. That's why people go hard on the 6 seconds. Okay? Is it a coincidence? Is it a fluke that everybody kind of does the same thing? Okay, that Chandler Crawford does 5 hard strokes at the beginning. It's not a fluke. This is the way the human body works. Okay, you've got anaerobic power, use it. If you don't, you're going to be behind. And the start is so important. So you work your anaerobic, you work your sprint, and you use your sprint. But pretty soon you run out of sprint energy, you run out of anaerobic energy, and now you're fully into aerobic. And you know 60 seconds, 90 seconds into a race, you are burning and you go too hard and you get an oxygen starvation and you die. You run out of energy so much, your body actually crashes, you can't even move. The pain, right? So you start hard, the first 10 seconds, the first 20, first 30 seconds, and then it's aerobic. And you better breathe really well, and you better pace yourself down a little bit because your aerobic system is not as strong, it's not as powerful as the anaerobic system. So this is why people have a race strategy. It's not just a fluke. This is the way the human body works. Okay. Comments, questions? Yeah.
Does it say aerobic right to the end, or is it are you able to kind of function?
Well, the anaerobic is still partly working, and you can probably draw a little bit on that. You know, in the finish, you're going to dump it for that last 20 strokes, but its majority is still the aerobic energy system that's in play. Yeah.
Well, in terms of the race strategy, one of the things you would say was like rabbit, turtle, rabbit, cheetah. In the turtle phase, right after the start, we would really emphasize getting long and all those things that you might forget, and it really worked to calm you down, but at the same time it was really engaging. It was really good habits that you worked really long for during the season. And then the psychological effect of chasing people down after the 250 mark, it could really give you that boost when you're chomping down seat by seat.
Yeah, it's very fun.
People in, and but it's still got that focus from that turtle phase where you work on the mechanics.
Yeah.
And then you get that classic finish, and
yeah, it's so fun, it's so satisfying, and it's a great confidence booster. So rabbit, turtle, rabbit, where that comes from. We had a guy on our team who was ex-Paralympic champion. He was the fastest blind breaststroker in the world in 1984. And his coach would tell him, they'd do 4 laps, 200 meters, 4 laps of the 50-meter pool. His race strategy from his coach, rabbit, rabbit, turtle, rabbit. So the first lap, second lap fast, third lap slow, finish hard. Okay, so we would say rabbit, turtle, rabbit. That was our race strategy on Eye of the Dragon. So we would start hard, and then we would go into turtle mode, where we would focus on technique. So one of the great things about this strategy is it takes all that pressure off. Everybody's calling for more and power and dig, and it's a breath of fresh air. It's so relieving to focus on technique. And you know what happens when you focus on technique? You race well, you paddle well, and you actually have boat speed. Sometimes some teams will even say 90%. Okay, 100% on the start and then go 90%. Guess what? It's hard to go 90% in a race. You're still probably going closer to 100, but it takes all that focus off of that power at 100%, and then you put the focus where you want it, which is technique. Okay? What did you hear these guys in the Olympic cross-country skiing, Olympic kayak? Relax, right? Big muscles, glide. This is what you want to be talking about. This is what you want to be focusing on in the middle part of that race. And you have the calls. You keep reminding people over and over and over. So one of the biggest parts of race strategy in the middle of the race is rate. People talk about power. You talk about how hard you go, intensity. Intensity is rate. If you're racing a 200 or 250 meter race, you're all out, you just go. Right? So our race rate for the 200 or 250 is 68 strokes a minute. Our race rate for the 500 meter is 64 strokes a minute. It makes that big a difference. Who watched the last rowing, 2012 rowing Olympics in London, the Canadian Olympic rowing team? So let me tell you the story. The Canadian men's 8, the heavy 8, they won gold in 2008. Okay, they worked very, very hard. They were actually favorites in 2004 and they choked. And they didn't know what happened. They blew up. Very, very disappointing. So they rebuilt. They got 3 new rowers. They weren't the favorites anymore. Germany's won the last 3 world championships heading into the 2012 London Olympics. But Canada worked very hard. They could probably medal. They could probably win the silver medal if all goes well. They have their first race in the qualifying heat. Anybody watch this? Anybody remember this? They raced so poorly, dead last by open water. And what happened? Their race strategy, that Olympic distance, it takes about 7 minutes. Their race rate, their rate that they're rowing at, they're aiming for 37, 38 strokes a minute. They went out and they raced at 41, 42 strokes per minute. These are among the best athletes in the world. They train harder than anybody, and they have a hard time controlling their rate. It's their first Olympic race. They're kind of revved up, they're kind of geared up, and they go too fast, and they die. They didn't pace enough, and they have, what do they call, a soul-searching moment. They go back into the room afterwards, and they're shattered. They can't believe. They've given up their lives. They've trained this hard, and they raced that poorly at the Olympics. They were so distraught. They were so disappointed. The athletes, the coaches, they can't believe. They aim for 37, and they hit 42. And they explode. They die on the course. Terrible. They come back. They have to go through the repechage. They start to get their stuff back together. They start to pace better. They get into the semifinal. They get into the final. And they have the race of their lives. Their stroke rate is 37, 38. They're long. They're strong. They're focused. Beautiful race, start to finish. They win the silver medal. They beat everybody they could have beat. And it's because they raced their race. Okay? The first race, they did not race their race. You think racing your race is easy? Racing your race is not easy, especially when it comes to the big race. You're in the gold medal, you're in the medal final, you're at Alcan, you're at these big races. Everybody gets excited and the rate comes up. I guarantee you, you've seen it, the rate comes up. The biggest thing in controlling your race is the rate. And we worked on it so much with Eye of the Dragon, hammered it over and over and over in practices, in races. Aim for your rate. What rate do you want and what was it? I ask them all the time, what do you think it was? In dragon boating, how few people have a stroke rate watch. This is about $150. I have seen them as low as $60. This records. So I record the rate throughout the race. And then I say, okay, well you started, you know what happened there? Your race, guess what your rate was? 68. Oh, really? Oh, it's so disappointing. because we're aiming for 64. I don't care if you win the race. We need to race our rate. We need to race our race. We have a strategy. We have a plan. Okay, what's the plan? Plan is start hard, settle down, 64 strokes a minute. Because that allows you to use the big muscles. That allows you to use the leg drive. It allows you to hinge, breathe, catch. And some people say, oh, it's only 3 strokes a minute more. It's not that much. It makes that much of a difference. If you train at 64 and you race at 68, you are not going to have good technique. You are not going to be relaxed. You're not going to have glide. You're not going to use the big muscles. You're going to die like a dog at halfway, and other teams are going to pass you. Ben Fooey is going to pass you, and he's going to beat you. Right? We practice and we train and we race like Ben Fooey. It's fun. It is so fun. It takes all the pressure off in the middle of the race. We start hard. Okay? I see our competitors. I know who's out there. I know who's who. Okay, we're in the semifinal. We're in the final. We start hard, and then we hit our pace. And I help control the pace by drumming slow. Okay, we practice everything slow, and then we go out and then we race slow. In the warm-up, when we're going through our mental rehearsal in the calls, I'll purposely go through the calls and the warm-up at about 55 strokes a minute, or even 50. I need to get people to think slow. We go out there, we do our lap, half the boat holds, while the other half takes big, heavy, slow pulls. Get everybody thinking, slow things down. We go out there, we hit it hard on the start, and then we slow down, we hit 64 strokes a minute. Okay? We go out there, we do our race. If we're within 2 benches of the other teams, I have a big smile on my face. That's exactly where we want to be. 2 or 3 benches back at the 200-meter mark, that's our race plan. That's where we are. That's how we race the best. Okay, that's how we train. Your team may be different. Okay, if you're all 24 years old and you're super fit, you go hard. That's fine. Okay, that wasn't our team. Okay, we were nowhere near 24 and we were nowhere near fit. We had to use our energy very, very wisely. We had to conserve. Okay, anaerobic power. We had to train that start. We had to be in with the other teams on the starts, and then we paced, and then we had a long, strong finish. And we had so much confidence, so much confidence. We raced so well from the middle of the pack. From the middle of the race on, you could just see the technique was so good, over and over and over. And half the paddlers are blind, to be honest. Sometimes the timing isn't great sometimes, something falls apart sometimes. Happens to anybody, but particularly if you can't see, sometimes things go a bit crazy. Didn't matter. We were just in the zone. Smile. Other people too. We practiced all the time. That was our plan, is to come from behind. And it's so satisfying. Like I say, it takes a lot of the pressure off. That middle part of the race when everybody else is going, go, go, go. We're just paddling away, biding our time, waiting like a crocodile in the weeds to pounce at the end. Yeah. Right. So we practice with the stroke rate watch all the time. And if we don't hit our rate, we're disappointed. If we race our race, we hit our rate, that's all we can do. That was our best 500-meter piece. Yeah. Yeah. So we aim, like I say, our team, 64 plus or minus 1. We're any more. If you're too slow, I talked before about not being excited enough. If you're out there and if the rate's only 60, it's like, come on, where's the enthusiasm, right? Where's the intensity? And it happens sometimes, maybe a cold first race of the day or something, and not quite up for it or whatever. So you can be too low as well. You can be not pumped up enough, not enough intensity. You want to find the sweet spot for your team. And you have 20 paddlers, and it may not be the same. Other people want the higher rate. Some people want the rate lower. Some people want to go hard. That's fine. How many people practice or test on an ergometer? It can be very good. I tell people to try it on the erg. Okay, so you're doing your 500-meter piece, takes you 2 minutes, 210, 220, 230, whatever. Okay, practice. Try going super hard all the way. Try taking a little bit off. Tell you a story. So we had a paddler on the team. She came from another team that never switched sides. I have people switch all the time. Everybody can paddle both sides. Everybody can race both sides. But a lot of paddlers, a lot of teams only do one side. Okay, so sometimes somebody comes from one team, or I start coaching a team and I make them switch. I'm like, all right, they don't like it. They switch. It's my weak side. So I had a woman on the erg, and I tested her both sides. She said, well, I'm a right. I don't like paddling on the left. Oh, okay, well, let's see how you do. She went on the left, and she was so nervous. Okay, she started hard, And then she paced herself just because she thought, oh my God, I'm so weak. And then she just paddled steady, 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 and she had a finish. And her left time was almost exactly the same as her right time.
I used to paddle on the left all the time, and then I switched to the right because we would have to switch. And Connie, when she said, you paddle way better on the right than the left.
It's true with a lot of people. When they switch, their technique is better on their off side, their weak side, and they tend to be as strong. Yeah, true. Yeah.
You get lazy when you're on the right side. When you're on the side, you paddle all the time. You get a little lazy. The inside gets
Yeah. So another thing that we do, so we're talking about calls in the race. We will call 10 for leg drive, 10 for hinge, 10 for breathe, 10 for reach, 10 for rotate, whatever. We'll keep people thinking about something, keep them motivated throughout. Never do we call power. We never do a power 10. No power series. I'm telling you right now, and you know what? Most of you are going to go and you're going to continue to do power series. It is so ingrained in dragon boating. It is crazy. It's cultural, and people believe it. It's true. Oh, you have to. Why? Because the boat drops. Oh, we felt the boat sink. Well, no, well, the boat didn't sink. I can see it. It's still up there. So it's floating. Right? Okay. Do you see any other sport where they do 10 hard something and then go back to what they were doing? Okay, and I know people say, well, it focuses us. Well, focus on rotation. Focus on relax. What did we just hear? Okay, relax, breathe, use your legs, use your hips, power and glide, right? Okay, but everybody, power 10, power, boom, boom. I have a smile on my face. We're racing. I hear other teams call power series. Awesome. Awesome. We'll see you at the finish line, right? Do you think Chandra Crawford does 10 strong strides somewhere in the middle of her 2.5-minute race? Okay, you see somebody racing the 4-minute mile, all of a sudden at some point they take 10 fast ones and then they go back to what they're doing? It's ridiculous, but it's so ingrained in dragon boating that people believe that somehow this helps. You can call all kinds of things, but power, like you actually really want to try to go faster. So from an engineering point of view, I'm an engineer, right? The most area under the curve, you're going to draw a straight line. So you're going to get up to speed as fast as possible. You're going to maintain your speed, and then you're going to drop off. That area, that's the distance. You don't want to be going faster, slower during the race. It'll slow you down. It's not good for your body. It's not good for the boat. It's not good in any possible way. It's good when your competitors do it. By all means, call some power series. But power series do not help. Try it on the erg. Try to take 10 strong strokes and then keep going and see if you're faster. Right? Test it. Try it in the boat. People are so resistant to change. I've given this seminar many times, and everybody's like, oh, our coach, or I see them after. Yeah, I told our coach, but they didn't want to do it. Yeah, I know. It's just stuck, right? People just, yeah. I haven't called the power series on any team that I've coached or drummed in 12 years. And we've got great results. Okay?
You just do hinge, power, not
Yeah. 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 Whatever it is that people, yeah, reach. Yeah. 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 So when I did this session here on calling, some of the calls are going to be purely reward words. Yes, good, you're on it, nice, awesome, yes. Okay, the Meg Ryan calls, you're going to make Meg Ryan calls. Okay, and then some of them are going to be technical. Okay, reach, okay, get the legs going. Okay, 10 leg drives. Okay, everybody can do 10 leg drives. Everybody can do 10 rotates. Okay, but it's all around the same thing. Stroke rate, in our case, 64. Keep everything loose, big, reach, catch, all that stuff. Well, we say 90, but it's probably 100, to be honest. But it's 100% of a 3-minute pace. It's not 100% of a 1-minute pace. You know, if you're racing a 200 or 250, you go as hard as you can. Then at the minute mark, you're dead. You're exhausted. You can't paddle for another 90 seconds well. Okay, but that's you're pacing for 60 seconds. We're going more or less 100% of a 3-minute pace, of a 3-minute piece. So after 3 minutes, you're dead. But we do that, okay, with the 90-second mark, you spend your energy. We start with the end in mind. Right? So we know it's a 2.5-minute race. That's how we're spending our energy wisely. Okay, we're rationing our energy throughout the race. You can go super hard, but you know what happens when you die halfway through? You don't paddle very well. So that's our strategy. Rabbit, turtle, rabbit. That was our strategy. Again, it may be different for you, but that was our strategy. I'll show you another. Okay, so Eye of the Dragon, lane 1. Blue Bayou from Nanaimo, lane 2. Very strong team. It's one of my favorite races. Lane 3 is Fat Fish. Lane 4, I think Hot Sake from Seattle. It's at the Victoria Dragon Boat Festival. We haven't beaten Blue Bayou in quite a long time. They've gotten very good. They train a lot. Very, very strong team. First time we raced them in 2007, we beat them. Right? And then they started training more and more. And we didn't beat them much after that. This is 2010. Okay? Our stroke rate here, maybe I'll test it. I'm pretty sure it's about 64. $65. That's me with the hat. Steering in this case. We're 2 benches back. I've got a smile on my face. This is exactly where we want to be. We're within 2 seats. Blue Bayou, I'm happy. Our stroke rate 65, I'm happy. Okay? Pretty big, using our bodies. We're not arm paddling. Trying to be as relaxed as possible. We're still racing, but trying to be as relaxed as possible. And we like those dog fights. There's teams all around. We train for that. We practice for that. It gives us excitement. Comments, questions? Yeah. And we take off. What happens, people call a finish and they dump whatever energy. It just stops their slowing down is all it does. From about 45 to 60 seconds, most teams just slow down, slow down, slow down. They call a finish and they kind of maintain their speed. Okay? We maintain our speed better. We're a little slower at 30 seconds, but we're faster at 90 seconds than most other teams. And then we have this huge finish and we take off. And we beat Blue Bayou. Haven't beat them in years, right? And they beat us in the final. Okay? They had a better race. Yeah.
Can you comment on the rate in the finish? And what you feel? Some people, some teams pick up the rate slightly, some maintain. What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, I don't. Unless you're very strong. If you're Falls Creek and you want to pick up the rate, and that's the way you practice, then you can do it. Most teams, when you pick up the rate, something suffers. Usually technique. Where does the rate come from? You shorten up. So something isn't going well. So we generally don't call up. Like I say, unless you're very strong and that's what you practice, then you can do it. Falls Creek can do it.
On the finish line, is it no different, or why do you pull?
Yeah.
What is it you're doing that's making?
Yeah, because we've rationed our energy. So it is about dumping the energy, but we also want to maintain technique. So we always say something like finish with reach. Okay, now I know there's 20 seconds left. I'm going to reach as far as I can for 20 strokes. I've got 20 strokes in me. I'm not calling power.
You're not calling it.
No. Yeah, well, people know what finish means.
Sure.
They're going to use whatever energy they have left. It's going to be 20 or 30 strokes, but we always call it with something. Okay, with finish. Forward. Forward for 20 strokes. All right, you're exhausted. You can do forward strokes for 20, right? Okay. And keep the head up and breathe. Okay, I got 20 more. And then people are excited, right? And they feel it, and it's just everybody goes together. And the power, it's just, you feel the power in the boat. And especially when the rate stays low and you take off, it's such a good feeling. Yeah. 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 Oh, so the start is still, we do ups on the start for sure. Yeah, so the starts, we're going to do 6, we bring the rate up. So with the starts, we bring the GPS in the boat and we try different things. What gets us going the fastest? And we measure it over and over and over. Okay, do we do 6? Do we do 5? Do we do 8? And how many ups do we do? What do we do on the ups? Because the real proof's in the pudding, like how fast do you go? Right? And we train our anaerobic, and we do all that sprint work to make sure we can have strong starts. But we measure, and then we end up doing typically a 6:12, because that's what we find. After 12, we're at full speed. That's what the GPS says. So why are you doing 4 more upstrokes? You're just wasting, it's hard, right? You're using your anaerobic energy, and it's wise, and that's what you want to do, but just to get to top speed, right? You know, I've seen teams do 6:10. I've seen them do 4:10, right? I've seen Falls Creek do a 4:10, okay? 4:10, boom, they're at full speed, okay? Whatever your race, I've seen other teams do 6, 6, 12, something, okay? Whatever you do, whatever works for you, and you are going to rate up, and you are going to go short, and you're going to have an early exit, or whatever it is that you do on the start, you're going to do it, okay? And then you're going to go into turtle mode.
Where do you get the watch?
Stroke rate watch. This I bought from a sporting store in North Van. I don't remember the name of it. This is called an Interval 2000. I just Googled stroke rate watch this morning because I thought someone might ask. These are about $150 online. Look up stroke rate watch. I found one online for $56. Okay. What I like about this is it stores it in memory. So I will often have this on me. Maybe I'll show you another video clip. Maybe you'll see me taking a peek. So I'm drumming. Maybe I'll see if I'll pull up the other video. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah. Read RTM. Read the manual. Read the manual. Okay, so this is one of our finishes. This is us here. Low rate, big finish. High rate, weak finish. Aries is now much better. They, you know.
Oh, so that is I thought that's Aries now.
No, they're way better now. Now that's what they do to us now, right? So, yeah. But anyways, that's how we race. Oh, look, we got a medal. Oh, yeah. Yeah, question?
How do you manage if people have we turtle during the middle, if people end up with excess energy at the end?
Oh yeah, well then they didn't quite pace themselves either properly. So the question is, what if people have extra energy at the end? Then they didn't go hard enough. So you mean from a coaching point of view, or race strategy, or?
I think coaching and paddling perspective, like, because then your strategy is to rabbit, right?
Yeah.
But when you turtle versus somebody who does like the kayaker, where he goes all out and just tries to go even more all out at the end, like he would know for sure that he would have no energy at the end. Yeah. Whereas the rabbit, you would be like, I might have saved maybe an ounce of energy. That would have made the race, right?
Right. So it's a good question. The question is, how do you know that you've used all your energy? If you're saving some in the middle and then you finish and you still have some left, you feel like maybe you could have gone more, or maybe some people on your team could have gone harder during the race. It's a good question. Generally, physically, you should feel tremendous pain, pounding, probably nausea. You know, these are all things that should happen when you've gone as hard as you can possibly go. It can be hard to motivate people to go that hard. And there's a whole other session on team building and motivation. But
one that's chatting in the middle of the ball.
Yeah, chatting. Or right after the race, they're like, hey, that was awesome, hey?
I think one of the things Dan would say is that the turtle part isn't the comfy couch. It's more to focus and be in your body with those really good habits. So it's not like you're not intense. You're just not as amped up and freaked out, psyched out. But it's not a comfy couch. You're not just going, oh, I'm just going to turtle down.
Yeah.
It's engaged, but it's calm.
It really comes down to every individual paddler, right? So it's all about, like you said, it's all about pacing yourself. It's a 500-meter race, and you want to pace yourself for that 500 meters. So whether you go rabbit, turtle, rabbit, or you go balls out to the very finish, it's all a matter of each individual paddler listening to the calls and giving their honest effort throughout the whole entire race. And that's basically it. If they're not dying by the end of the race, then you got to pull that paddler aside of the coach and say, okay, listen, you got to give me a little bit more than that, or you got to give the team a little bit more than that, or whatever it is. You got to find some sort of motivation to get that person going.
Yeah. We do a lot of endurance training because we paddle on the river, and when you're in freshet, when you're doing a warm up against a current that's going about 5 to 6 k an hour, and you go, a good 40 minutes against that without stopping. You do the 3-kilometer piece without stopping. I find that, especially warming up against the river, the group, when we're racing on water that has a small tide like this, they have everything to give at the end.
Yeah, resistance training. I'm a big fan.
Is that
Endurance resistance training.
I wouldn't drag and when I was out here, we used to drag crates and tires and all
Yeah.
that crap around the river, or around here, whereas against the river itself,
Yeah.
that's usually really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of resistance training. You get that if you're in the outrigger. If you're in the OC1, you're going much slower, lower rate, heavier water, heavier catch, which
Yeah.
is similar to going against the current in the dragon
They
boat.
hate me until they bring them out, and then I not so hate it.
Yeah, that's right. You should hate the training. But yeah, to Jerry's point, you have 20 people in the boat, and everybody should be spent at the end. Some of the paddlers, their strategy may be go hard the whole time, and that's what works for them, which is fine. And other paddlers maybe get better results from more pacing. But everybody, by the time you're done, everybody has to be exhausted. And if you're not, then you need to find a way to get that person on board so they are contributing as much as they can.